French onion pork chops. Hi, I'm Renee. Welcome to my Kudos Kitchen, where today we're going to be making French onion pork chops, which are the most popular recipe on my whole site, which is exciting to me, and they're really good. So to begin with, you'll need 4 pork chops. Dry them off with a paper towel, just so you can get a nice sear on them and they don't steam when you're trying to brown them in the pan. I take Dijon mustard and I brush them liberally, the chops, on both sides with the Dijon mustard. Helps add another layer of flavor. After this is done, I will season the chops liberally with salt and pepper, again on both sides. And season from high up. And pepper. Okay, now these can sit for about, 10-15 minutes. What the Dijon will do is help tenderize the pork just a little bit, because it's got a little bit of acid in there from the wine that's in the mustard. So we're going to set it aside for about 10-15 minutes while you get your skillet nice. So the pan is screaming hot. You'll notice with the pan, because I'm using cast iron, I also have this like little mitt on the handle so I don't accidentally grab it when it's screaming hot, because that would not be good. So just a little forewarning, you might want to do that if you cook with cast iron, because it's got even heat distribution and it just gives beautiful color. Okay, so what we do now is we remove the chops from the seared chops to a plate, and we're going to set them aside and keep them warm. And then I've already pre-sliced the best part, as far as I'm concerned, the onions. Okay, so these are 4 or 5 sweet Vidalia onions, and I sliced them about 1/4 inch thick into maybe 1.5, 2 inch pieces, and there's a lot of them, but they're going to cook down. So I'm adding them to the skillet. And what I'm also going to do is add some salt, a liberal amount, pepper, a little more oil, the light oil, the grapeseed oil, and more butter, because butter is good. A couple of 3 tablespoons, and give them a good stir. Now the key to making caramelized onions is once you get them nice and stirred and covered with oil and butter, and the heat's up nice and high, well, medium high actually, is you let them sit. Because the longer they sit, the deeper in color they'll get, and the sweeter in flavor they'll get. So stir them up really well, and then leave them alone. Let the pan do the work. Once they cook down, and you will notice it, we're going to add a little wine, we're going to add a little beef stock, and also some thyme to the pan. But for right now, we're just going to let the onions do their thing. So the onions have been cooking probably about 10 minutes, and I'm just now giving them a nice stir. You can see that they're definitely brown in color, browner in color, and they're beginning to limp and wilt down. And all the sugars are coming out of them, and they're gonna be delicious is what they're gonna be. Okay, now as you can see, the onions are nice and golden and limp, I guess, for lack of a better word. And if you could smell them, oh my gosh, you'd be in heaven. So now's the time. I'm going to add some beef stock. Approximately, I'm going to say 1/2 cup to 3/4 cup. And work the onions around in the beef stock, loosening up any brown bits that happen to form at the bottom of the pan. That's called the fond. those brown bits at the bottom of the pan where the onions stuck. the beef stock will help loosen that, and that's where all the flavor is. Well, not all the flavor, but a lot of flavors in that fond. So do that very well. And then we're gonna add some wine. Now on my website, you'll notice that I used red wine. I didn't have it today, so here's a good lesson for you. You don't have to follow a recipe to the T. This is white wine. It's gonna work just as well. About a half a cup. What the liquid will do is it will help the onions cook down. Of course, give them a lot of flavor. And the only other thing we're gonna add now is some thyme, fresh thyme. I love fresh thyme. So several sprigs. That's quite a bit, but that's okay. And stir them up. We will remove that before we actually eat the French onion pork chops. Just about all of the liquid, the beef broth and the wine has been evaporated in the pan. The onions are coming along really well. And what we're going to do now is nestle the pork chops back into the onions in the pan. Because remember, we just seared them. We didn't cook them fully. So, oh, nighty night pork chops. And beautiful little babies. Okay, oh my. And don't forget about the liquid in the plate. Pour it in. You don't want to miss any flavor. Okay. And what we do now is cover the pan. I'll turn it down to a low simmer. You're using a stove, which I assume you will, medium low. So this is a big pan. I don't have a lid that fits. And if that's your particular case, aluminum foil is your friend. Over the top. And use your handy gloves. So don't forget how hot that pan is. And push it down. Doesn't have to be fully covered. Some steam can come out, but for the most part, you want to keep all that inside, all that flavor inside. So we're going to let that simmer for maybe a good 15 minutes, medium, and then we'll uncover it, and you'll see what happens next. Okay, we've been simmering about 15 minutes, medium-low heat, and we're ready for the great unveiling. Ooh, steamy. Okay, if you can see, there's a little bit of liquid still left in the pan, and that's fine. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to add the Gruyere cheese. So I've cubed up some Gruyere cheese, and I'm going to top each pork chop with a nice mound of cheese. Oh boy. And this is going to melt nice and get ooey gooey, just like your good old French onion soup with that crusty cheese topping melted ooey gooey. I know I've said ooey gooey a few times, but I can't help it. Okay, in order to melt the cheese quicker, what we're going to do is cover it once again with your cover, your pan cover, or your aluminum foil, and let it go for a couple minutes until the cheese is nice and melted. Hey, look at these beauties. Oh, the cheese is nice and melted. The onions are bubbly and brown. And the only other thing I'm going to do now is garnish them with each a little couple sprigs of fresh thyme. All right, for plating, what I like to do is I like to put down a bed of the caramelized onions. Because why wouldn't you? Whoa. And if you run across any of those thyme sprigs that cooked with the onions, just pick them out before you serve them. Top your onions with the pork chops. So there you have it. I guarantee this will be one of the best pork chop meals you've ever had. French onion pork chops.